All right, welcome back, Coast to Coast Sports. Let's talk about week 6 of the NFL season. Some more great games to talk about. Um, let's start with that Bills Jets game, and we'll just get right into it, man. The Jets, are they done? Short answer, yes. Long answer, soon. Soon. Let's look at the schedule for the Jets, shall we? Can we pull up the schedule? They're 2-4. Next week they play the Steelers. They're going to be 2-5. Then they'll beat the Patriots to get to 3-5, and then they'll lose to the Texans to be 3-6. I don't see how you get past 3-6. Cardinals, Colts, Seattle. Can you win 3 straight to get back to 6-6? Maybe. Can you beat the Dolphins, Jags, and Rams? 9-6? Maybe. And then the Bills, you probably lose again, 9-7. And then the Dolphins. So they basically have to win all 7 of the losing teams. They play 7 more losing teams. If you count the Colts and Seahawks as losing teams, they're 500. They have to go 7-0 against the teams that are 500 and worse. Problem is, they're 2-4. I don't think they can do that. You think they can do that? I don't think so. Aaron had one nice moment, which was the throw to Alan Lazard. But man, dude, they don't look very good. Buffalo played a lot better. Josh Allen had another good game. He's in the MVP discussion, but he's always going to be in the discussion. He's been in the MVP discussion for the past 5 years. 6 games now for Josh, though. This is worth something. 6 games, no interceptions, and just the 1 fumble. He's not turning the ball over anymore. And that is big for him, because that was always kind of his problem, was turnovers. Now they're 4-2. I thought they looked good in their loss to Houston. Obviously, a pretty bad loss to Baltimore, but other than that, they've played 5 good games and won 4 of them. Buffalo's going to start stacking wins here, I think. After the Jets, they have the Titans. The Seahawks might be tough in Seattle, but I think they can win. Then Miami, who might have Tua back by then, but still, they should win that game. Colts should be easy. They could win the next 4. If they do, they'll be 8-2, and then they play the Chiefs before the bye. After the bye, it gets a lot harder. Niners, Rams, Lions. So between the Chiefs before the bye and then Niners, Rams, Lions, that's the 4 games that's going to decide their season. They might beat the Chiefs. I still don't trust them in the playoffs, but they're a good team. The Bills are a good football team, and they proved it again last night. Let's talk about the other primetime game. Thursday night, 49ers, Seahawks. Good game. Seahawks hung in there, but ultimately lose. Niners now atop the NFC West at 3-3. I'm not a huge believer in the Niners, I have to say. But they looked better. Seattle's defense still banged up. Isaac Guerrero rushed for over 100 yards. As a third stringer, he came in for Jordan Mason, who got hurt. Geno threw 2 interceptions. No, he did throw 1 touchdown. So Geno Smith now, through 6 weeks, has thrown 6 touchdowns and 6 picks. And Seattle fans act like he is the future. He's the answer at quarterback. He's not. He's an average to below average quarterback. Let's not kid ourselves with Geno Smith. Purdy, meanwhile, might be the answer. He played well against Seattle. However, he always plays well against Seattle. He's 5-0 against the Seahawks. So this division rivalry was once dominated by Seattle, right? With Russell Wilson, I believe Russ was 17-3 against the Niners. Something crazy like that. He beat them all the time. But this rivalry has completely turned since Purdy and Geno came to play. Purdy has won 5 straight, including a playoff game over Geno, and none of them have been won within 1 possession. They've all been double-digit wins. 5 straight double-digit wins. That tells you something. It tells you that A, Kyle Shanahan is a head above Seattle's coaching, And B, it tells you Purdy, for what it's worth, I think he's better than Geno Smith. I don't know how good Geno Smith is. I think they're both around that kind of 18 to 15 mark in the league. The difference also, though, Purdy has a future, Geno Smith really doesn't. And again, let's not pretend that Sam Howell's the answer. Seattle really needs to draft a quarterback. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if they will. They might be too stubborn to. But the fans are clinging on to this Geno Smith thing. It's not working. They're 3-3. They're once again, the Seahawks are an average to below average football team for the 5th year in a row. They haven't been good since 2020. They haven't been relevant since 2020. So I don't know what you see in Geno Smith. I see a decent quarterback who doesn't win big games, plays poorly under pressure, plays poorly in the big moments. You can put up great stats during the 1 p.m. West Coast window against the Cardinals and the Raiders and the Giants and the Dolphins and the Patriots. You can put up great stats in those games. But if you don't win the big games, it's hard for me to trust you as the future, especially when you're 33. And that's what I see out of Geno. So let's talk some Ravens Commanders. Another great game. Ravens come out on top 30-23. But man, what a game that was. Jaden Daniels didn't play amazing, but he did what he needed to do. He kept his team in the game. He put up some points against a good Ravens defense. The Lamar Jackson comps aren't going to stop with this kid. I know he's saying he doesn't want to be compared to anyone, and that makes sense. Don't raise the expectations. But he's fending off Caleb right now for Rookie of the Year. He's been a top 5 quarterback this season. Jaden's been super impressive. That being said, Lamar Jackson is better. Lamar is obviously more experienced. He's more talented, older, veteran guy. Call him a veteran. He's in year 7. But right now, Lamar does have a leg up. And the Ravens they're rolling right now. They've won 4 straight. Should have won 5 straight. Again, I keep saying this. They should have beat the Raiders. The Ravens are on a heater. And I think it will continue. They look absolutely... I know they're tied with Pittsburgh atop the division. They're going to win that division. They're probably going to win it by 2 or maybe 3 games. Because I don't trust Pittsburgh to keep this up. And I do trust the Ravens. Man. Oh. And once again, it's probably going to be the same thing as last year. Great regular season. Lamar plays well. Playoffs, lose to Mahomes. Or you lose to Allen or something like that. It sucks of how predictable it is. But that's kind of how I see this thing playing out for them. But yeah, it's tough. Because the league has gotten to a point, the AFC has, where Mahomes is so high above it that no matter what Lamar does, it's hard to believe in him. And I hate that that's the case. Because I want to believe in him. I really do. But how can you believe in the guy when we've seen the evidence? The evidence is that he's not a good postseason quarterback. But yeah, great game against the Commanders. He continues to he's making an MVP case. I keep saying it. He's making an MVP case. I don't know if they're gonna give it to him. The voters tend to not like to give back-to-backs, but they did give it to Rodgers, so we'll see. But the other guy they could give it to would be CJ Stroud, who's been absolutely electric so far in his young career. And Stroud against the Patriots, 41 points. I believe Stroud went for 3 touchdowns. Cam Akers got on the board. And also newly back. No, not Cam Akers. Akers just got traded. No, Mixon, who's back from injury, he got on the board. And also back from injury is Dameon Pierce, who scored a touchdown, like a 50-yard run. They looked great. And again, right now, Houston, probably the second best team of the AFC, and CJ Stroud, probably the only thing that stands in the way of Lamar winning another MVP right now. We'll talk about Baker if he has another good game, and Baker does lead the league in touchdowns right now. But as far as who can keep it up, Stroud and Lamar. Those are the guys who can keep it up. So Drake May actually didn't look terrible. First start, 3 touchdowns. They scored 21. Granted, it was a blowout. I think New England's going to be very competitive next week. They play Jacksonville, another one-win team in London. It sucks that it's in London, and I think they probably will lose close. If it was a home game, I would pick New England to win it. They're starting to look better on offense, more comfortable, and their defense, we know their defense can play well against bad teams and young, bad quarterbacks. So I do think Drake May will play well against Trevor. I will take Trevor to win very close, but a good debut and a good start for the Drake May era. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it can continue. Chargers beating the Broncos. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix struggling a little bit in that one. The Broncos tried to make a little bit of a comeback. They made it interesting in the end, but could not win. Chargers started off hot and faded in the second half. It's not a perfect football team by any means. The Chargers are not a perfect football team. They're a good football team. They're definitely a flawed football team. And those flaws are going to show, but I do think they're a playoff team. I think they'll make the playoffs simply because the AFC is weak, and I think Harbaugh's a good coach. But the Chargers are going to have a great half and then a bad half. That's kind of how it's going to work with them. Denver, meanwhile, again, I like what I'm seeing out of Bo Nix, but they have to start faster than that. They didn't score at all until the fourth quarter. You need to score in the first half if you want to win these games. They were down 20-0 at half. They, again, to their credit, they came back, made it a one-score game by the end of it. But at some point, there has to be a little bit more. There has to be a little bit more of a start to that game. You can't do that and think you're going to win when you can't score in the first half. But again, Bo Nix looks like he's getting better. I like to see it. Finally, let's talk about the Bengals-Giants. Sunday Night Football, Bengals get the win. It was ugly. Joe Burrow admitted it was ugly, but they did win. Get to 2-4. Meanwhile, the Giants fall to 2-4. Daniel Jones. This sounds worse than it is, but I'm going to read the stat. Last time he threw a touchdown pass in MetLife Stadium was December of 2022. Now, he's only played 5 home games since December of 2022. He had 3 home games last year before he got hurt, and he's had 2 this year. So understand that it's not a huge size of games, but 5 games is substantial enough to be like, whoa, that's a problem. He actually looked kind of good on the road. He threw a couple touchdowns in Washington, threw a couple touchdowns in Seattle, but at home, something happens to Daniel Jones, he can't play at MetLife. You paid this guy $40 million a year, he can't play at MetLife. He won a game against a fraudulent Vikings team in the playoffs, and he earned his money through that one game, but it's going to be tough. Giants are not pushovers, but they're not good either. Good defense, decent enough offense. If they get Malik Neighbors back, they might be a little more scary. But a 2-4 start, they're basically out of the playoff mix, let's be honest. Cincinnati, though, they're very much alive. And I still maintain I think they can make the playoffs. I think Burrow has it in him. I'm going to read the schedule. You tell me where you think the wins are. Bengals right now, they to make the playoffs, they have to win 7. I think 9-8 gets you in the playoffs in the AFC. I really think 9-8 does. Can they win 7 more games? They play the Browns. That's a win. Eagles, toss-up. Raiders, win, 2. Chargers, I would say toss-up, so that's 3 with 2 toss-ups. Then after the bye, Pittsburgh, they probably split. They played Pittsburgh twice. Let's say they split those. That's 4. That's 4, yep. Dallas, probably a toss-up the way Dallas has been playing. Let's say 4.5. Titans, there's 5, 5.5. Browns again, 6.5, and then the Broncos, another toss-up. So they got 5 games. They have 4 games that I think they will definitely win, which is 2 against the Browns, Titans, and Raiders. That's 4. Steelers, they split. They get to 5. And then Philadelphia, Chargers, Cowboys, and Denver. 4 toss-ups. You go 2-2 in your toss-ups. I didn't mention they also play the Ravens. Let's say they lose. If they split the toss-ups, split with Pittsburgh, and win the 4 games that they should win against the 4 bad teams, That's 9 wins. That's 9-8. You can do that. You can make the playoffs at 9-8. In this AFC, right now the wild card is the Colts at 3-3. They're only a game out of the wild card. Of course the Bengals can do it. It's the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow. I believe in him. But let's talk about another quarterback who's struggling to win big games. Dak Prescott. Uh-oh. Cowboys' worst home loss since Jerry Jones bought the team 25 years ago? 30 years ago? Yikes. Detroit looked incredible. I've been saying all season I think Detroit's the best team in the NFC. I think they proved that against Dallas. Now let's maybe throw some caution to the wind. No Aiden Hutchinson's going to be a problem, and I think they should make a trade. Maybe Max Crosby. Maybe Micah Parsons. Something along those lines. They need to make a trade. Because their whole thing is, we're going to get you under pressure. The whole reason I think the Lions, and I've continued to say this, even as the Vikings and Packers and Bears have been winning, I continue to think the Lions will win that division because I think Darnold under pressure will struggle. And Caleb under pressure will struggle. And the Lions, I believed, had the defensive line to put them under pressure. Even with decent O-lines on both of those teams, but without Aiden Hutchinson, I worry, can they generate enough pressure against Sam Darnold to really make him uncomfortable? Can they really generate that pressure against Caleb to make him uncomfortable? Because if Darnold and Caleb are comfortable in the pocket, I don't know if I trust the Lions secondary to hold up. Because they've played in some shootouts. I mean, they let Seattle drop 27 on them. However, they looked great against Dallas. And again, at Dallas, 4 straight home losses for the Cowboys. Lions look like the best team of the NFC. But again, I'm saying that I'm hesitant. I want to see it without Hutchinson and see if it still works. As far as Dallas goes, tough loss, obviously. And there's going to be changes, I think, that are going to be made in Dallas. I don't know how soon those changes are going to be made, but Mike McCarthy is, I mean, I know Jerry Jones says he doesn't want to fire mid-season, but Mike McCarthy is going to have to go pretty soon, at least end of the year. Because they've already paid Dak, you can't get rid of him. And Dak is really fading. No run game. And we've all seen the stat. I mean, the when they had Zeke in his prime, and it was a stat that said when Zeke goes for over 20 carries, the Cowboys won like 88% of their games. And then when Dak threw the ball 30 times or more, they won like 20% of their games. So they've always had this formula with Dak is don't let him throw the ball too much, have a good run game, keep him comfortable, and play good defense. Good defense, good run game, and don't make Dak play hero ball. That's how you win with Dak Prescott. But again, he's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not a Mahomes. He's not a Josh Allen. He's not a Lamar Jackson. He is the best, I think. I've always said I think Dak Prescott is the best of the good quarterbacks. Like, I would take Dak over Cousins. I'd take Dak over Geno. I'd take Dak over a Baker, probably. I'd take him over Jared Goff. Close, but I think I would, although Goff just embarrassed him. But it's because I do love the physicality of Dak. But when the run game fails and the defense struggles, Dak's exposed and his weaknesses are exposed. You say, well, how can you say you take him over Goff? We've seen what Jared Goff looks like with a bad line and no run game and a bad defense. The Lions went 3-13 in his first season there. So let's not pretend like Goff is this amazing player. When everything is going right for Dak and everything is going right for Goff, I think Dak, which we saw last year, Dak beat him. But when things go wrong, that's when they both start to get exposed. Right now, Goff isn't being exposed because his team's incredible. Dak is getting exposed, and it's showing. I think he leads the league in picks, and he might lead the league in picks all season. We'll see if he can get any better. They probably need to trade for a receiver, but they really should trade for a running back. I don't think they will, but we'll see. But I mean, the Rico Dowdle thing, that's not working. Deuce Vaughn, Ezekiel Elliott, that's not working. You got to pivot. Smart teams know when to pivot. The Cowboys need to pivot right now.